Hey, what's up, guys? It's Booker T, six-time world champ. I know you guys are checking out the beard, checking out the shine, checking out the gloss. Hey, if you want to know more, go to moreunique.com. Use promo code Booker. Big news came out here just a couple of days ago. WWE went ahead and released some guys from their contracts, and this normally doesn't happen till around April, May. You know what I mean, when they start
Post
cleaning house.
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania, post WrestleMania, guys start getting, a little worried, you know what I mean? Right hand, no, left hand start itching, right hand start sweating, you know what I mean? You wondering, am I next? You know what I mean? Am I on the chopping block? It's one of those type of things. I never, myself personally, I never worried when that time of the year came around. It just wasn't my thing. I always said, talent, cream always rise to the top. Yeah, Luke Harper, The Ascension, Sin Cara, all released from their contracts, on to go on to bigger and better things,
Right.
future endeavor and whatnot. What do you think about it, man?
Well, I know we talked about Sin Cara a couple weeks ago. I know he asked for his release. Now he was
He
granted for
wanted
it.
out. He wanted out.
Luke Harper's another guy though who asked several weeks ago, or maybe a couple
Yeah,
months ago, for his
yeah.
release. Finally got it.
Posted on Twitter, freedom. Yeah. I don't know
and
what that
then
means.
the Ascension. Man, they had some buzz when they first came in, but they
Yeah.
just really never clicked on the
But
main roster. Not especially not as like they were supposed to be in NXT. They were like the big, menacing demolition almost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like tag team. And when they got to the main roster, they were always kind of a little comedic in a lot of ways, and it just didn't
It's so
click.
I think it's so hard to try to duplicate something, try
Right.
to recreate the wheel. It just can't. I mean, the Road Warriors did it, better than anyone, because they were the first ones to come up with the
Right.
face paint, the shoulder pads and whatnot, the spikes. It was crazy. And then Demolition came along, and people say, man, they're kind of like a knockoff of the Road Warriors. But Demolition was totally different, and they had their own thing. They had their own flavor. And then to see Ascension come along, it's just kind of hard to fall into those footsteps and actually make that work. So, man, I hope those guys. I mean, Ascension, man, those guys been around since like 2010,
Yeah, I know. One of them was in
maybe a
developmental
little
for a
longer than that.
longer than
Down in
that. Yeah,
down in
I
NXT,
think it was Connor.
FCW, or whatever. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But those guys been around quite some time. You know what I mean? So for those guys to have a run as long as they did, that's a career. Almost 10 years, that's a career. 10 years, 9 years, that's a career for a lot of guys. So
Hell yeah.
big ups. And it's right now, like I said, the wrestling world is as hot as it's ever been. It's hotter than a Mexican plate lunch right
What
now, man.
What do
What?
you think though of Luke Harper? I mean, this guy with the Wyatt family, him, Bray Wyatt, Eric Rowan, for a time, Braun Strowman. They were the show. I mean, Monday Night Raw surrounded around them for a long time.
Yeah.
Remember, they had the legendary feuds with the Shield and with the New Day, and for a long time, I thought that Luke Harper, especially a couple years ago, leading into WrestleMania, he had the thing going on with Bray Wyatt and the
Yeah.
Miz. There was
Yeah.
talks that he even might be in the world title match at WrestleMania. Like he was an athletic, big guy.
Yeah, yeah,
You would
he
think
was
that
getting there. Yeah,
you
yeah.
would think that
But
he was everything that you needed in a WWE superstar.
I just didn't. I mean, me personally, I didn't think the country, overall was going to ever get over it with me or anything like that. Was he talented? Oh man, very, very talented. Was he a guy that you was, couldn't wait to see next week? He didn't put himself in that position for that to happen. But what I see with Luke Harper is when I just look at that box and look at that picture, what I see in Luke Harper is Stan Hansen. I see Japan written all over this kid. I see New Japan. I see this guy working over there for many, many years, getting paid some low green ducats because they love big Americans like a Luke Harper in Japan. So I see Luke Harper having a great career even after WWE, making perhaps more money than he ever made in his life.
Well, and that's interesting. And the same thing with Sin Cara. There's talks of him going down to Mexico and traveling even abroad as well to Japan. And it's kind of funny to me. Did you ever, like, when you left the company for a little while there for those 2-3 years that you were gone?
Yeah.
When you initially left, was that a plan at all? Like, man, hey, I'm a big star in America now. Let me go over to Japan. Let me make some money
No,
over there. No,
no,
Mexico, nothing like
no,
that.
no, no. I remember.
Puerto Rico's a place a lot of
No, no.
guys go.
Only thing I thought about when I thought about Japan was udon. Okay, and I, I never wanted to see another udon ever in my life. You know, the yakitori wasn't bad. You know what I
You can
mean?
rock with some yakitori.
I can rock with the yakitori, but you know, when every time somebody want to stop and get some udon, send my ass back to America.
But talk about it. I mean, it is a new lease on life for guys. I mean, you talk about Stan Hansen. He was big in the States, right? But in Japan, he was like the biggest thing ever.
Yeah, yeah, but some people are made for it. Some people are made for
Yeah.
that Japan lifestyle, that way of life, the way those guys work over there. I mean, you just don't understand what the business is like until you do a tour in Japan. For me, it was 21 days my first tour in Japan, and I thought I was, you know, by the 16th day I was seeing a mirage. You know, cheeseburgers. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Chicken wings. You know what I mean? Some American food, some American women. And I was about to lose my mind. I was like, man, get me up out of here. But certain guys back in the day, man, it was nothing for them to be able to go over there and run hard. Plus, also, the guys like Stan Hansen, just say, for instance, in my first tour, I went over with Manny Fernandez, and Manny Fernandez was getting paid $3,000 a week, and my brother and I, we was only getting paid $1,000 a week. So if you making, you know, good money, it's a lot different. You know, that $3,000 a week back then was a lot of money. $1,000 a week back then was a lot of money. So I can imagine if the pay scale has gone up for superstars like that, and if Harper could turn out to be a Stan Hansen, this guy could make a whole lot of money throughout his career in Japan. I just see New Japan written all over him.
And I'm sure it's something that he'll probably explore. But talk to me a little bit about like when someone gets released, you know, the advice that you have for them. Because I remember specifically when Jinder Mahal got his release from WWE a few years ago. You called him, I think, either the day it happened or the next day it happened. Gave him a lot of advice, invited him down to Reality of Wrestling. You know, let him sit under the learning tree, as you put it. And then next thing you know, he was back in WWE. He became WWE champion. I mean, what is your advice to guys when they get released?
Well, I was just trying to help him get his green card. Nah, nah. When Jinder got let go, man. I mean, I believed in Jinder before he got let go. I saw something in Jinder. I was like, man, this guy got a lot of talent. It just need to be honed. He just needs somebody, a bug in his ear. And when it happened to him, it probably was the best thing that ever could have happened to him at that time, because he was in a system to where I don't think he would have, you know, pushed himself to get better. You know, so for myself, I personally invited him to come down to Reality of Wrestling and train with me. You know, sit under the learning tree. As well as, you know, man, get out there and see the world. Go around and hone your craft. Don't sit around waiting on the phone to ring or anything like that. And that's what Jinder did, man. And now Jinder's, you know, I think he just signed the extension on the contract.
Hey,
You know what I mean?
Congrats.
No, I'm serious. You know what I mean? And everything's fine. But you will, you know, find yourself looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, hey, what's next for me? Am I gonna, you know, stick my head in the sand, or am I just gonna, you know, forge ahead and keep moving, because life is not gonna stop after WWE for me. And so many guys out there, man, have realized that after they've left, you know, like the Chris Masters. You know,
Right.
Chris Masters, he's a guy, you know, he may never work in WWE ever again, but he's a guy out there right now still making money, still doing what he loved to do. He's going around the world, and somebody's paying him to actually to do that. So it's a lot of guys out there like that, and more
sure.
power to them, man. Just keep.
And you're right. I mean, I've seen a lot of guys, they leave, come back, and they're even better. Drew McIntyre, John Morrison, Jinder Mahal, three of them, the first three to come to mind. Christian was another guy who left and came back,
Yeah.
and he was better when he came back. But let me ask you this, because I'm kind of fascinated by this. Whenever someone does get released, what is the feeling like in the locker room? Like with the boys? I mean, is everyone talking about it, or is everyone kind of like a little tight, like you said? Or, I mean, what is the feeling like on that side of things?
You know what, man? I don't think it's like that. You know, I don't. For me, I mean, I've been around the business a long time, and I've been around a lot of guys that's gotten fired.
Right.
You know, And I don't know. I never really thought about it, man. I always just forged ahead because I never really tried to make friends to the point to where it was gonna affect me if one of the boys got fired or anything like that. For me, it was all about business. It was all about coming to work with my hard hat on. And I don't know. People might hear this interview and say, "Man, Booker's cold, man." But I got a lot of friends. I got a lot of acquaintances. But I just don't think it's wise to wrap yourself up into something when it comes to your business,
Yeah.
because when it's business related, who's the who's on the receiving end? Your family. So that's what I always thought about when I came to work. I never thought about if this guy was going to get fired, if that guy was going to get fired, or even if I was going to get fired. If I was going to get fired, fire me. You know what I mean? But like I always say, you better do it by email. Because I might just tab something on the way out. I might just break something on GP. You know what I mean? So no, that's business. Hey man, but we got a whole lot more to talk about. Stick around, more Hall of Fame. Back in a minute.